Recording in progress.
Yeah, just 2 minutes, I'll start. Everyone is able to hear me? Just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay, all right then. Just a couple of minutes. So let me now start my I'm just sharing my screen. Right. So everyone is looking at my screen. All right. So let me now. Any doubts in yesterday's thing? Any doubts in yesterday's thing? Right. Fine then. So now let me now take one more scenario. I'll write one more test method. I'll write one more test method. I'll check for customer is not null. Is not null. Okay. I'll check for is customer not null. Again, what is the first step we have to take? Define the input. Okay, this is the first step. In every test method, we have to pass like this. So what input I can pass? String ID is equal to C100. Next string first name. I can pass a Pradeep. Then I can say string last name. I can say Kumar. Then I can say mobile. Okay, something like this mobile number I can pass. Right? Now what I'll do is now I'll create one customer object. I mean, so this is input, right? This is input. And then what I'll do is I'll just tell I'll just call the actual output. Actual output. Right? How I'll get the actual output? I'll say customer equal to. I'll just create this object, customer manager. Customer manager dot add customer. This one. Okay, then what I'll do, I'll check for whether this customer object is null or not. I'll test for customer object is null or not. Okay. So similar to this asset true and asset equals, asset false, we have one more asset like asset null. Asset null. And I'll pass the object. You know what asset null will tell you, no? Asset null will expect the object to be null. Okay, if it is null, test case is passed. Else failed. Else failed. Okay. I think this is the simple example I'm taking. This is a simple example I'm taking. Right? Is there any complexity in this example? I'm just asking from the majority of the people. Is this example simple or complex? What I'm telling, this is a real-time example. Yes, I want more questions, more replies. Okay, how many are telling simple example, this one? How many just raise their hands? I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Still. Still, how many are telling this is a simple example? So that's why I told actually core Java basics is compulsory. Right? Okay. Now let us take this. Let us take this one. Now I have a test method like this. Right? Now, what I'll do now? Now what I'll do now? Now I have a method like this. Right? Now I have a method like this. Right? Now when I call add customer. When I call, now I'm just defining the input. I'm creating the customer manager object and I add customer. Where this is going? This is going to this method. And I pass these values. I pass these values. And then I create a customer object and I set the properties. Okay, this already now this will be adding in a customer list map, in a hash map, right? And it is returning a customer object, right? This is returning a customer object. So now this is returning a customer object, right? Which customer object? This object. This object, right? This object you are returning back. Now, when I say asset null of customer, what asset null will expect? Asset null will expect the object to be null. If it is null, test case is passed, else failed. Now, is this object null or is this object null or not? Can anyone tell is this object null or not? Is this object null or not? Yeah, come on, I want more answers. I want at least 120 to 130 answers. I'm seeing only 20 to 30 answers. I want at least 120 people to 130 people to answer this. Null or not null? I want at least 100 people, at least 100 people to answer this question. Null or not null? Is this object null or not null? Some people are telling, very few people are telling null. Why null? Why null? Because here I'm creating a new object, right? Here I'm creating a new object. I am setting some properties. I am returning that object, right? Why it is a null? Why this is a null object? Why this is null? Why this is null? Why this is null? This is not null. This is not null object. Right? So this is not null object. So this is not null object. Why? Because you are creating an object here and you are setting some property values and you are returning that object back to here. You are calling this method. This method is returning the customer object. So now this is not null, but accept null will expect the object to be null. So thereby this test case is failed. Why? Because accept null will expect null object, but this is not null object. Right? So I'll run this program. I'll say run as JUnit test. See, I got this null. This check for customer, this one. This test method got failed. You see, this test method got failed. If you see here, expected null, but this customer object was coming, right? This is expecting null. This is expecting null, but so this customer object got returned. Okay, so test case failed. Okay, now there is one more scenario. Accept not null. So what do you mean by this is? So accept not null will expect customer object to be not null. Accept not null will expect customer object to be not null, or will expect object to be not null. So if it is not null, test case is passed. Else failed. If this is not null, test case is passed, else failed. Now is this test case passed or failed? Is this test case passed or failed? What is customer object? It is not null, right? It is not null. So if it is not null, test case is passed. So this is passed. Okay. Now let me run now this. It is passed. See, green color you got. It is passed. Okay. See now mistakenly developer he puts like this. Now see what will happen now. Right? Now, so this is the code. And now let me now go to this one. Right? Now, I'll say like this. Now, when I say this add customer, so this will go to this method. And here a new customer object got created. I'm setting some properties. And then it is storing in a hash map. Mistakenly, I made it as a null. Developer accidentally made it null. That means your customer object is now null. Now I'm returning customer now. Now what is your customer now? This is null, right? Because here initialized null. Now it is null. Now when I say asset not null, but this is null. What asset null not null will expect? What asset not null will expect? Asset not null will expect object to be not null, but this is coming as null. That means if it is not null, test case is passed, else failed. Now this will be failing. So this test case is failed. Okay, this test case is failed. Right? Everyone understood? I'll just run as JUnit test. See, I got fail, you see. I think this got failed because of null object. And this got failed expected not null. See, expected not null. Because when I say asset not null means expected not null, but you are getting null. So these are the different assertions you have to see. So what are the differences we have seen? Asset equals, where your expected output should be equal to the actual output. Next, asserted false. Asset false means the Boolean value should be false, then only test case is passed. Next, asset true. The Boolean value should be true, then only test case is passed, else failed. Now, when I say asset not null, the object to be not null, so test case is passed. When I say asset null, your object should be null. Your object should be null, so then only test case is passed. You just think asset null means the expected value is null, then only test case is passed. Asset not null means the expected value is not null, then only test case is passed. Asset true, the expected value is true, then only test case is passed. Asset false, the expected value is false, then test case is passed. Asset equals, the expected value and actual value should be equal, then only test case is passed. Everyone understood these scenarios? Asset equals asset equals next is asset asset equals asset true, asset false, asset null, asset not null. Any doubts here? See, Google Classroom link, I'm trying for 1 minute. I'm not able to actually. Supriya madam is in the class. I'm just trying to reach madam. So contact details, I think in the madam chat is there. Supriya madam, you can just reach her. Supriya NIT. So I'll just pass this. For test case to pass, expected value and actual value should be equal. Right? Asset true means for test case to pass, Boolean value should be true. Asset false. For test case to pass, value should be false. Asset null. For test case to pass, object should be null. Next, for test case to pass, object should be not null. Right? All right. Any doubts till now? Right? Now, let me now tell you some important JUnit life cycle phases. JUnit life cycle phases. JUnit life cycle phases. Right? So basically, okay, there are four stages. One, before all, annotational, before all. Next, before each. Next, test method. Next, after each. Next is after all. Okay. So before all, before each, test, after each, after all. Right. We have seen this one, right? We already have seen this at the rate test. We have already seen. We have already seen this at the rate test. Right? What at the rate test will do? At the rate test is, this is an annotation where the method annotated with at the rate test will be executed by JUnit as a test case or test method. So in this method, we write the actual test logic. We write the testing logic, like defining input, right? Next, define expected output, get the actual output. Next, compare actual and expected output, right? Or compare it is a true or false, like we have seen asset true or false, or asset null or not null, right? So this is what we do. So this is what we do, right? So this is a test method. The method annotated the test will be executed by JUnit is a test case or test method. This method we write the testing logic like define input, define expected output, get the actual output, compare actual and expected output. This is what we do. Right. So like that, we can write any number of test methods. Okay, in a JUnit test code. So we can write In a JUnit test class, we can write any number of test methods, right? In a JUnit test class, we can write any number of test methods. Okay, so this is a compulsory. This should be mandatory. Mandatory. There should be at least one method. There should be at least one method annotated with @test. If you see in our test code, how many test methods are there? This is one test method. This is another test method. Fine. So then what is before all and before each? Now see. So the method annotated with @before all will be executed first before executing any other method in test class. So that means suppose now I have a test class. Now I have a test class, which is I have a test class, say some A, something like this. Now I have before all. Okay. Now I'll say method 1. Okay. And I'll say now another test method. Right. So I have now method 2. Next, I have another test method, method 3. Right. So now when I execute the test code, when I execute this test code, when we run test code a.java. So first this method gets executed. Before every test, before executing these test methods, first this gets executed. Next, this gets executed. Next, this gets executed. So what this method will contain? See, this is an optional method. So this is an optional. It can be there, need not be there. Optional. See, in our example, if you see, is there any method with before all? No, right? It is an optional. But this method is compulsory. One method should be there. So I have one method here. Next, I have another method. But there is before all optional. But what we do here in before all is, okay, if we need to initialize, if we need to initialize global variables, used across any of the test methods, any of the methods annotated with @test. So this is what before all. That means if I want to initiate, you can think like how a constructor, in a constructor, we initialize the data, right? Like that in before all, if you want to initialize the data that is used in this method or in this method, I can do in this before all. So this is used for global initialization of data. Utilization of data. For example, in this example, let us see. In this example, what we can do? In this example, what we can do? Let me put like this. In this put, I can say at the rate before all. I'll say public void initialize common data, right? Okay, this is what. So here I can do anything. So here I can initialize some values or some which are commonly used. So let me do. I want to. Okay. I can use common. I can use some common data. For example, in customer manager, if you see, yeah, your organization name is there, right? Right. I can use a common data here. So here also, I can initialize some common data, which is used across all. Suppose, let me think like this. I can put like organization name is equal to Airtel, or I'll put like this, private organization name equal to like this, private string, right? Now I'll say organization name is equal to, here I can initialize in common data, Airtel. Okay, I'll put like this, expected organization name. Expected organization name, I'll tell. Now I can use this one. Now I can use this one here. Here I'll say asset equals expected organization name. And what is your actual organization name? Your actual organization name will be your customer object dot get organization. Okay, get organization. Right? So, sir, customer manager, sorry, manager. Right? Now what I'm doing here, I'm just, now I can use the same variable here also, because this variable is a global variable. This global variable can be used in this test method, similar in this test method also, right? In this test method also. Here also I'll put this test case. That means this global variable name, this global variable can be used. I can write, I can initialize a global initialization of data. Global initialization of data. Global initialization of data, right? And that one that I can use here, that I can use here. That means now when I run this test code, when we run this test code, first this method gets executed. So first method one gets executed, right? Then test method, then test method two it gets executed. Next, test method 3 gets executed. So that means when I run this test code, first when this method one gets executed, so first this global instance of data gets executed. That means first this will get executed. Now I can use this. I can use this across any of this because it's a global variable. Because it's a global variable. Now I can use in this test method, or I can use in this test method like that. So that is what. So that is what before all tells. And this is optional. This is not compulsory. You can have or you need not have. That means if you have, you can put a modular code there. Okay, then what is before each? Okay. So what is before each means the method annotated with before each will be executed for every test method execution. Remember the difference between this and this. Now see, the method annotated with before each will be executed for every test method as well. This one for all the tests, but this one for each. That means, now suppose I have like this. Class A. Now I have before all. Now method one. Now I have before each. So method some X. Right? Now I have test methods. These are compulsory, right? Test methods are compulsory. So method 2. Then I have method 3. Right? Now what will happen now? When I execute this first, when I execute this test code, now when we run JUnit test code, right? So first, before all, method 1 gets executed. This is the first method to get executed. Before all, method 1 gets executed. Next. Now second, before each, that is method X gets executed. So before each, method X get executed. So after that, after the test method gets executed. Next, test method 2 gets executed. Next, when I say before each, before executing each and every test method, that means before executing this method, this got executed. So before this method gets executed. Now next, before executing this method again this will get executed. Next, fourth, before each, method X gets executed. Next is fifth one, test method 3 gets executed. That means what is before each? When I say before each means before each test method. That means this will be called before each test method execution. Right? So when I say before all means this will be called Okay, before all test method executions. Or before, not all, before all method executions. Not only test, even before each also. This will be called before all method executions. And before each means this method will be called before each test. Then what we will initialize in this? What is the use of this method? See, when I say before all means, this is used for global initialization. That is, if I initialize that variable here, I can use that variable here, I can use the variable here like this. But what we can do in before each, suppose I want to initialize the data before executing every test method. So in this method, what I do is, I want to initialize, if we want to need initialize data or objects before each of the test method, before execution of each test method. If we initialize data or objects before execution of each test method, then before each. Now, if you see in this scenario, I'll tell you. See, I am initializing a customer manager object like this. See, I'm doing this new customer manager object in this test method. I am also doing new customer manager test in this test method. Right? I can move this to one place. So what I can do is I can just, instead of writing like this, now what I'll do, I'll say before each, I'll say public void initialize data before test. Initialize. Right? And here I'll select customer manager, I'll select this. I'll put like this null. Okay, then I'll initialize here. That's all. Now it is called here. Now it is called here. See what I'm doing now, you see? Let me now first write the test case. Let me now take this entire test code. Okay. I'll change the font size. So I'll remove this, or I'll remove this, but I'll reduce the space. Okay. I'll remove all this. I'll remove all this. Only to reduce the space. I'll remove all this. I'll remove all this. I'll remove all this. Next is I will remove all this. Just to reduce the space. Right. Space here, right? Okay, fine, right? Any other things I want? I can remove this also, right? Just to reduce the space. Similarly, I can reduce this also. right? Right. Everything is fitted here. Right, everything is fit. Now, see, those who are attending from mobile, I can't do. Everyone has to attend from laptop. So I think font size is clear only. So now when I run this test case, what will happen? When I run this test case, so first this will be called. Okay, it is initializing this. Next second, it is called this. Next test method, right? So next 3 it is called. Right? Now after completing this, again, see, before each means before going this test method, this is called. That means 4. Next, after completing this, next 5. So first this is called. You are initializing the organization name, and this expert organization is used across the office. Next, second, this is called. You are creating an object of customer manager, right? And then you are using that object manager to call the customer manager to call the actual output. Okay. So third one. Next, after before now calling this test method, again the manager object is initialized to new object again, because I'm using that in the new test method. So again, new manager. So fourth is this one. Next, after that, 5th. So before calling this, it is called, and before calling this is called. Everyone understood? So the order of call. So first, so 1, 2, 3. Again, before calling this, again 4. Next 5. So first this is called. Next is second. Now before calling this test method, this is called. So after this method, test method is called 3. Now again, before calling this test method, next again this is called. That means before each means before each test method. Okay, I think I can remove this. This is not required. Okay, so now this manager is already available here. So this object is created. I can use this. So I'll remove this part. Everyone clear? Any doubts? Okay. So all right then. So tomorrow I'll continue. Okay, tomorrow I'll continue this. Okay, let us see tomorrow then. Okay, we'll see some more examples. Okay then. Okay. So tomorrow we'll continue then. All right then. Okay. So thank you all. See you tomorrow then. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'm checking for Google Classroom admin link. Once I get the faculty login, I'll share it. Okay then. Thank you all.